We're up. Okay. Well, like normal, you always take a look at the tape and some things to learn from. Did some things that did pretty well. I think we have gotten ourselves into these close games and finding ways to win some of them. It's been huge. I thought, especially on the defensive side, man, kept us in that game, made some plays for us to win it, and I know our guys were excited, especially on senior day, last home game for those seniors, and really proud of what they've done for this program since I've been here, and for them to be able to go out with a win in Research Stadium was huge. Again, I thought our crowd made a difference, and it's always awesome to have some juice and energy in the stadium. So on to the next here, and got a big-time opponent. They can score a bunch of points. We all know that. Just so impressive to watch these guys on offense, and just the efficiency and the accuracy, and they keep doing the very similar stuff year after year, but so productive. And it's going to be a real challenge for us in a tough environment. Played a bunch of games up there in Martin Stadium, Pullman, Washington. Their crowd gets into it, and so I know our guys will focus on the challenge at hand and prepare really well this week.
You mentioned their offense, their defense. Sorry. Their defense changed coordinators mid-season. Have you seen a big change in what they do or the way they do it?
Not a drastic difference schematically. I do think those guys play pretty hard. They run a scheme that's not it's not as common in regards to how much movement they do, pre-snap movement they do. They are aggressive in the secondary, helping in run support, but have not seen a dramatic change from week 1 to week 10.
What are the challenges in facing that kind of offense? Clearly, they're flooding zones, they're putting guys out there, but what is the biggest challenge in facing that kind of a air raid?
Yeah, well, one, it's been a challenge to get to the quarterback. I mean, these guys are doing an awesome job of protecting the passer. They're not giving up many sacks, even though they throw it so much. You still need to account for the run game. They got a good back who's been productive. And so that part is tough. These guys stay and possess the ball for a while. It's not like it's an up-tempo and they throw 3 and out incomplete. These guys are so efficient, they stay on the field a ton. And that can be, wear you down. You're trying to rush the passer. They're out there so much, the ball comes out so quick, it can become disheartening not getting home on the quarterback. Yeah.
You mentioned their running back. He's guaranteed victory. Do you take those things very seriously, or do you think maybe they disappear after the game started, or how do you view victory guarantees by players?
Yeah, we don't take them ultra seriously. I just don't think we need added motivation for this game. We really don't. And I got actually a bunch of respect for him because he's a good player. But I don't think that's a huge factor in this thing. We won't deal a ton of mental energy with it.
Does end of the year night game in Pullman feel a lot better being in the position you're in with 5 wins and all that you're playing for and coming off that great victory?
Right. Well, it definitely feels better to be at the end of the year playing for something. And again, we got a tough opponent this week and a tough place. So, but we're excited to play whatever time kickoff wise it is. We get it at 6, and sounds like the weather might be okay. It's going to be cold, but weather being okay is probably a pleasant surprise.
Your defense took some criticism early in the season, played better as the season goes on. What, particularly the last 2 games, what things have come together for you, and how good do you feel heading into the last 2 games of the season with that defense?
I do think we've improved throughout, really as a program on both sides of the ball, and done some things. I think those guys have continued to work and continued to learn. We've made some mistakes on both sides. And I think we've learned from those, and we've played more, sound and solid as the year's gone on. I give some credit to our coaches too, of staying consistent in their approach and teaching these guys and motivating them. And you always got some bumps and bruises too. We've had some games where a guy's been down that hasn't helped us in some others, but I know they've made some huge plays in a lot of our victories, whether it's turnovers, stops, red zone defense, and they again helped us a ton last week.
Usually on these Monday pressers, you offer up the injury report before we even get started. How did it look coming out of last week's game?
Yep. No one. Well, we're not certain on Irish. Irish might be long term. We don't know yet. We're going to find out more today. But Who else got dinged? Oh, Dunny. Dunny, concussion protocol. We're optimistic about this weekend. And then Colby Taylor, we're optimistic about this weekend.
Coach, you mentioned Irish. What about how he's come on here of late with
Yeah.
some big-time plays and the touchdown, what he did on that?
Touchdown was huge. Yeah, it was awesome for him to make that play. You know, Hodge, it was actually called for Hodge. Hodge gets dinged the play before, and we felt good sticking with Josiah out there, and he makes the play. I did think it affected us on teams a little, not having him, because he does run down on coverage units, because he's progressed there huge on teams and beyond just getting I think it was his first touchdown catch.
After looking at the film from the game, and you come away with it excited with the victory, but how did you feel? Did you see just the average amount of stuff you want to work on, or anything stood out?
Well, you just realize how close these games are. I mean, there's so much on the tape of if it goes a different way, maybe the outcome's a little bit different. You know, obviously the goal line stands, some of our offensive inefficiencies in the second half. You know, there's always so much. And so obviously it's better to look at the tape after a win that way. But that's why we're always kind of the same approach. Look at the thing, learn. We got to clean these things up, gain some confidence from other stuff.
Coach, you mentioned Colby Taylor was a maybe this week. Does that mean, like, have you talked to Bradford about, playing this week or saving him for the Civil War?
Yeah.
What's his status?
He's going to prepare this week like he's ready to go, and then we'll make the call at the end of the week. Some of that will depend on Colby and the game plan itself. But it'll help us to get Colby back out there. I know that.
There's some Jonathan Smith, Pac-12 Coach of the Year buzz going on. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I think that there's some big-time coaches in this league, and some coaches that won way more games than I have. And so don't give it a lot of attention besides saying that we got some big-time coaches in this league.
If you had a vote, who would you vote for?
If I had a vote, I'm trying to think of it, I think it's tough. If it ended today, I think it's tough not to give it to Mario. The guy's undefeated. I mean, that's what I'd say today.
How happy were you for Noah Tog on the game he had?
Right.
How big? Have you seen many tight ends do what he did athletically?
No,
on
that was an awesome play to score that touchdown, hurl. The guy's athletic, especially when he's healthy, man. And it's been great for him to more or less stay healthy throughout the year. Had some big-time catches. I thought it was great by Luton, too. We're trying to throw the ball in the end zone, and it's not there. He throws it underneath, which he should, down in the red zone number, and gives it to Noah. I think that's some of the reason we've been pretty effective in the red zone. Jake's decision-making down there and scoring some touchdowns. Another example of Jake going the right spot.
Could you speak to the wackiness of the league in that there's maybe two teams that are fairly consistent, one the most, and that's Utah. Everyone else, one game they can look like, oh boy, they're going to be tough. Then the next one, not so much. It's just everything's in play, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is, and it's a competitive league. And I mean, just because you lose a game in this league doesn't mean you're terrible. Some other guys are pretty good, and so it always comes down to who plays best on Saturday. Sometimes matchups are different. I mean, shoot, late in the year, health makes a huge factor in this. So all these games are up for grabs, and we got another opportunity this Saturday.
Riley Sharp's game and just what he's done as the season's gone along. On the two-point conversion try, was his initial penetration the key to that play?
Yeah, huge part of that, staying outside and leveraging the ball, and he has continued to improve. You talk about a guy who wasn't playing a bunch early on, kind of arrived on the scene and stayed pretty consistent. The guy knows what he's doing, playing with good effort, and doing his job.
Early in the season, your run game was very effective. Last two games, maybe not quite as much. What's happening there?
Yeah, I think we are wanting to stay balanced, and so I think there's a few factors. Even just looking at the last month in the run game, one, who you're playing. We've played some better opponents defensively that have made an emphasis on stopping the run. I mean, Arizona State's scheme is built to stop the run. I think that's why they're toward the top of the league. But also we can be more effective in making sure our assignments and where we're headed and blocking the correct guy with leverage, because we'd like to be more productive than we've been the last couple of weeks.
What was kind of the morale of the group on Sunday during film, knowing that playing another road game, something you guys have had success doing?
Right. Yeah, I mean, after a win and having two opportunities here, both of them on the road, I think the guys know exactly what's in front of them. I thought our approach was pretty similar. We got in there, digested the game, watched the tape, went out to practice, had a good, crisp practice. A lot of young guys getting reps. I mean, we kind of do the same things on Sundays, and expect them to come back to work tomorrow, ready to go.
One thing on special teams, Jonathan, your second half, look, you said at halftime on your exit interview with us on the radio, got to clean some things up. You did in the second half, didn't you?
It was better. It was, and we kind of went back to some of the best stuff we had done all year long on our coverage units, and it was better. Again, give those guys some credit. Now, that guy is a big-time returner, but it was better. We kicked it better. We covered it obviously better, and really the placement of where the ball is going is a huge factor in coverage. And then watching that tape from the first half, we have opportunities to tackle the guy. We just missed the tackle.